Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and today is day 21 of 100 machine learning projects, and today we will be diving into very interesting and cool topics, that is generative adversarial networks or GANs. These are like the magicians of AI that you have all seen, like the fake videos, the fake images, and that looks very realistic. So it's like creating realistic images, music, and even fake videos that can fool your eyes. So by the end of this video you will understand like what GNs are, what are generative adversarial networks, where they are used, and we will walk through the Python code to build one from scratch. And you will understand like how these are built and how the fake videos can be generated, and then you will be able to make a lot of on your own. So before diving into, so let's before diving into, I just wanted to make sure like everything is up to date. If you guys have still have questions regarding the previous videos, you can always reach out to me over the comments. And if you have any questions, I make sure that I always reply to the comments. And this is just the starting of my channel. So if you want to work or collaborate, then also it's okay. So let's get started. So first, let me introduce what GNs are. So what are the generative adversarial networks? When we think of that, we think of generative, that we are trying to generate something. So for that, maybe you can imagine an art gallery where an artist is like painting pictures, and there is a critic who is judging them. So the artist wants to create paintings so good that the critic thinks they are real masterpiece, like they are real images. Like if someone, there are a lot of good artists, like very talented artists, which are trying to copy the Van Gogh, or many real masterpieces are there. So but a true critic will be the one who will be able to identify the which is the fake one, which is the real one, which is the like how to spot the difference between a real and the fake one. So these two are like two different models that we are going to work on. So but you have to understand, like when the critic is to is spotting the fakes, or spotting the mistakes that artist who is trying to copy someone is, like what the mistakes they are doing. So what happens when they're create you understanding the mistakes and pointing them out, the creator, the artist who is generating the images will become very smart. Like after every sometime, after every sometime, it will learn from those mistakes and it will become better, like they get better at painting. And and the critics also get sharper. Okay, like it's now this, it looks very real to Van Gogh, like how to get into that, their number of strokes and everything. So the critic also needs to understand that they have to get also smarter, because the artist is also getting smarter regarding creating those images. So the critics also gets sharper at at spotting the mistakes, the spotting the fakes, like how they are different from each others. So that's exactly how the generative adversarial networks work. So GAN has like two neural networks, that is the generator and the discriminator. So the generator is like the artist creating the fake images from random noise, or getting the information and then trying to create the not same but similar things by using the noise, by using the disturbance into them. And the discriminator is the critic, which is trying to tell if the image is real or a fake. Like the image, when we talk about the generative adversarial network, it will be try to understand that this image is from the data set or is it like from the generator. So like they are trained together in a in a friendly, like a competition manner, pushing each other to improve until the generator makes images that are almost indistinguishable from the real ones. Like from the it looks mostly like the ones that are there present in the data set. So that's how the generative adversarial networks work. So it can, so there's like, where do we see like GNs and action? I wanted to make sure that you guys understand like where you guys can implement these projects, or make a feature in your application and move it. So like they are, you can see the GNs are like they are everywhere, like, and some of the applications are like image creation. The generative adversarial networks like create realistic faces for video games or movies. Even there are a lot of uh, reels with, it looks like a person is talking, but they are like generated by these adversarial networks. And you have generated also AI generated celebrity photos, so that's also like GNs. And then there are arts and designs, like there are tools that like DAL-E, which uses like a generative adversarial network like tech to turn text prompts into stunning artworks. That how we are giving the text and then it converts it into in an image. You have also heard about the Ghibli creation also, that is also used the kind of the scenario, that taking the prompt and creating an image from that. Data augmentation also, when you need like more data, and more data, you have imbalance in your data set and you want to generate more data. So for if you want to need more data for training, then Janes can generate synthetic data, even like medical images, and like or other data sets that you want to expand or increase the sample size of it. There are like super resolution, like turn blurry photos into sharp ones, like in CSI style, enhance like scenes and understand like. And there are videos and audios, they can generate realistic videos to make you'll think like that these are very good and we are very real, and it looks like that this is actually happening, but it's not. So this is a very good scenario that you can use these projects into. So I think these are very good. So today I will be help. Let's go through the code, and today we will be going through this code. And I have used Google Colab for this. Because my machine is not working very properly. So let me go through the code, like how to generate this like adversarial networks, how they work on it, how a competition friendly environment is created for them. So we will go through one by one, and we are using the MNIST dataset for this. So as you guys all remember, MNIST dataset like is like a they have 70,000 images of handwritten digits with the labels, like a handwritten digit with an image of a paper where one is written, handwritten, and there is a label of one, that this digit is like one. So this is the information that we have. So let's go through like one by one. We will go. We will be using the libraries that the Python version should be like 3.x. The TensorFlow we will be using for neural network implementation, NumPy for data handling, Matplotlib for visualizing generated images, and we will use MNIST dataset, which is like 28 into 28 grayscale images of handwritten digits as our real data. And let's get the, we are importing and loading the data. As you can see here, you can see we are just loading the data from directly from the Keras, and we are just splitting those data set, like normalizing the pictures. You guys understand how we normalize the pictures in our previous videos, that because everything is between 0 to 255, the pixel value is 0 to 255, so we are normalizing it into to getting to get the value between -1 to 1, so that everything can be scaled in a similar format. And which is also important for like generative adversarial training, so that they can, like I told you, like for every model there is a different format, and like this works for the generative adversarial training. So these are how we are, these are the shape we are using, the 60,000, that is 28 28, and cross one, that because one, why, because we are using the grayscale values. So the we are defining the constant because noise dimension also, because I told you the generative adversarial network where the generator model is used. It uses noise to create more images. You have to understand that it is creating the noises. It uses the noise to create more images which look similar like the images from the data set, and the discriminator is going to detect if it's from the data set or is it from the generator. This is the size of noise vector for the generator. We have just loaded the all the information, downloading the dataset from here. If you want to see the dataset also, I think you can download the dataset from Kaggle as well. So like this is a very, you know, multiple use dataset. It can be used for multiple things, for training different kind of categories, and it is a widely used dataset. So you can just download it and use it like multiple times. That is good. So now we will be explaining like, okay, wait. Yeah, we will be explaining that how, the building, the generator building works. So generator takes a random noise vector which we have like the size of 100, and output are 28 into 28 into 28 by 1. That is the image setup that we can see here also. This is the size. These are the number of samples. 60,000 are the number of samples, but this is the exact size. The 28 into 28 into 1, that is 28 into 28 pixels, which is around 700, I think 64 or something like kind of pixels, with one, like one is a grayscale value. So what we want the generator also to to generate an image of that same format. We don't want generator to detect into different format, otherwise it will be very easy. For example, I'll tell you that if I'm saying that I'm a artist and I have a painting that's Van Gogh, some Van Gogh's some painting, right? So it has to be like of the same size, right? I cannot say that I have this similar thing and the Van Gogh is like big. Then you can see that this little one is the fake one, right? So you have to create the the fakes. We can say the fakes, or the different artists like which are not the real masterpiece, with the same format, with the same size. So this is what how it goes there. So we will see that input, the noise vector of noise dimension is, it wins using the the bias as false. Batch normalization is done, and we are using the leaky ReLU, the activation function, as if you guys remember the leaky ReLU activation function. So the generator is, you can understand like there is a random noise vector which has size 100, and there are dense layers maps the noise into like 7 into 7 into 256 feature map to start building the image. So we're just starting from a very simple format with like nothing, with just the noise, and these layers unsample the feature maps like the deconvolutional to increase the spatial dimensions to understand 7 cross 7 into 14 cross 14 to cross into 28 into 28. So if you guys remember how the things work in like convolutional matrix, like 28 into CNN, 28 into 28, then there was a convolutional layer of 3 cross 3, then pooling layer of 2 cross 2, and then the output came. So this is how the convolutional 2D transpose works. And there is then batch normalization, stabilizes the training by normalizing activation functions, allows a small gradient, because for negative inputs there might be some negative inputs also that we are talking about, right? Because -1 to 1, so we want those inputs as well. So for those how you are going to train that, we want leaky ReLU. We cannot use ReLU, we cannot use sigmoid, because I think we can use sigmoid, but we cannot use let me remind. Okay, let's forget about this. So just make sure that, because it's a negative value also, we have to make sure that the values of the negative also gets a little bit of gradient, so there is not the decline gradient problem does not happen with this neural network. So this is how these things work. Then we are doing the tanh function for the last layer. We're using the convolutional 2D layer into basically the images being generated. So tanh is that's why we were normalizing in the starting like -1 to 1, and this is how the values grows, and then the tanh function is used. So you can see that the output size, the parameters, how you are used, batch normalization, how the things are, like total parameters are this, and the trainable parameters are this, like how these are being used. Non-trainable at 25,000. So this is like a pre-trained model that we are using, and this is like very I think good model, like think we can think like for the generator, we can think of it like as a scribble and turns it into a 28 by 28 image. And these layers, helps it doing that. So we use like with the dense layer, reshape it into, small grid, and use transpose convolutional to upscale it to 28 and cross 28. And return and pixel values, because tanh function, all the values, then the tanh functions helps us to return it into -1 and 1. uh, bec- because you remember that we are normalizing the values also from there, from -1 to 1, then we can scale them into the, actually actual pixel size, and you can print that how these images look like. Now we are going to build the discriminator, and building the discriminator is like a binary classifier that takes that 28, 28, 1 image and outputs a probability that is real or fake. So how it is going to do that? It takes the convolutional 2D layer, extract features from the input image, reducing the spatial dimension from 28 into 28 to 14 cross 14 to 7 cross 7. So you have to understand, generator was going like in different style from 7 to 7 to 14 to 14 to 28 to 28, while the discriminator is going from 28 into 28 to 14 into 14 to 7 into 7, and then it will tell us. And then there is leaky ReLU, and dropout functions are used to prevent overfitting and stabilize the training. And then the sigmoid function is used for 0 and 1. You can see the activation function of sigmoid is used to output the values, that is it fake or is it like not fake. And these are the information about that, what kind of leaky ReLU is used, dense, flattened, dropout is used. You understand the dropout, why we use it is this dropout is a regularization technique so that the model does not overfit. So you make sure that while learning, some of the neurons are switched off, so that there is a non-linearity that we can add in the neural network, so they can learn better. So this is how it's done. And you can see that, okay, total parameters were this. So I think this is just about like how to understand and how the things are being generated, and what kind of functions are being generated for this. So like who to understand like how these things are, like how the scaling of those values are done, and how the different information like transferring the pixel size or the data size is being done from the generator, in the generator as well as in the discriminator. And you can see that these are two like little bit opposite. Now we will define the loss functions and optimizers, which is the, for the discriminator loss, we are using how well the discriminator is able to distinguish and like between the real image and the fake ones. And the generator loss measures how well the generator fools the if generator is able to fool the discriminator that okay, this is the real image, then we are going to see okay, this is going good. So this is how tries to understand like how the generator is building the image, and how well it is able to will build the image. And discriminator loss is calculated that how we are going to like what the loss looks like. So for the discriminator loss, we are combines loss like from real images like should output 1, and the fake images should output like 0 2, because fake output like should be 0, that okay, these are not from the data set. And for the generator loss is like measures how close the discriminator's output for fake images is to 1, like if it is being fooled or not. So if the generator is able to generate an image, and which is passed to the discriminator, and discriminator says that this is from the data set, then that is like generator's loss, like okay, I'm good, like the discriminator has been fooled. And for this we are using the Adam optimizer, used with like small learning rate for stable training, to understand like how these things are, and a custom training loop to update like both the networks. The generator fakes images and the discriminator judges them, and both learn from their mistakes, because this is where the friendly competition that we were talking about in the starting of the video comes into picture. So this is the like loss function that we have. Now the training information. So I have actually what I did, I just love took it like for 5 epochs, because you understand like it has to go into multiple epochs and understand those images. So I just wanted to show you how generator of the images work, and I will also show you that how these things are, I stopped it because you can see that there was interruption, because it was taking, I think, more than an hour, like 30 to 45 minutes. It was already there for 5 epochs. So I was like, okay, maybe I can train before uploading the code on the, GitHub. I can just train the model for a day and then I can upload it. But I can make a video of make you guys understand like how these actually work. So for the training loop, we will train the generative adversarial network by alternating between updating the discriminator and generators. That's the reason why it is taking a lot of time. Like for every batch, we are training the discriminator on real and fake images, and training the generator to improve its ability to fool the discriminator. At the end, we want the generator to be able to you know create images that are good enough, that are able to fool the discriminator. So generator has to be also good enough, so it has its ways, its weights, its learning has to be improved, so as for the discriminator as well, because that it is also going to be tricky for him to understand that if we don't make it very much smart, the generator will also not become very much smart. So we have to train them like for every batch, and we have to make them understand. That's why it is going to take a little bit of time. So make sure you if you have something, make sure you have some time on your hand, like how to train this thing, and just wait for have some patience for that. For the training step, we run like one training step, computing the losses and updating the both the networks, then train loop, we loop through the data set for a specified number of epochs, which I have taken like 5. You should at least go to 10 or 50 to actually make the generative the images to be better. And we have the TF data or data set like efficiently handles like batching and shuffling of the training data, because there might be a chance that all the one images, like one digit images in the same, in the starting. So it makes sure that the data set is being shuffled properly, and it is handled, like batching is also handled properly. And we can train for like 50 epochs or 10 epochs, but because I just wanted to make sure that it is running in the same time. So I started working on this like in the evening. So make sure it's okay. Like for every 10 epochs, images will be generated and saved in the files also, and we will the console will print generator and discriminator losses for each epoch. And what to understand from this. So what happens, like generated images will look like random noise, I will show you. And later epochs, like images should start resembling. So because I've just gone through like 5 epochs, so you can see that some of the numbers, like one is, you can see that it started with random noise. That was like from generator, the scribble, that this is kind of a scribble, and at the end it will start, you know and getting better and better. So if I run this for like 50 epochs, so it will be able to generate more images with the same handwriting. It will be like more distinguishable. As you can see here, you cannot understand which kind of number is this, right? So this is totally a fake, but here it looks like a 2, this looks like kind of a 3, this looks like a 5, 4, I think this is 9, this is 5. So that's how, and you can see the generative loss is this. The discriminator is able to identify in some of the box, it will be able to identify the loss will increase. See, if the loss is increasing in this side, there is a good chance that it is decreasing in this side, but also like it might be the same, because it might for because there is a lot of bad sides. For some it is able to distinguish, some for some it is not able to distinguish. So this is how the training is done. So if you are training it, make sure that you train it for like good amount of time, maybe like for a day, and then you will be able to see that okay, the images that are being trained is like good enough. And then I just, I wanted to show you that how, I just put a not random, for 16, the noise dimension you have. So I'm just putting that, okay, how this looks, and this is how it is able to do that. Is it able to distinguish or not? It is able, like, generated like images or not. So that is like a good information for this. And we can, after the training, we can load these images that are being saved there, and we can visualize the saved images or generate new ones. We can understand like how these, what exactly the generative adversarial network is doing. Only on the generation part, we're not able to see the discrimination part, but it is being, trained as well during this time. And this is how the, the friendly competition that I was telling you in the starting of the video actually works. So you guys can try this on your own. Make sure that you are, able to give it some time to train properly, and you will be able to understand the difference also. Like from here you can see that the five epochs, it does not look very well, but after like 50 or, a good amount of epochs, it will be able to generate, very similar images from with the data set as well. So, this is a very good video. You can also use different kind of data sets also. There are multiple data sets that you can use for videos, for, I think for, if I remember it correctly, there are multiple data sets. I don't remember the exact names, but you can use those data set. Let me see if I can find some like specific parts. Okay, maybe you can use different kind of data sets also. You can just, do some research on that. Maybe I can add it in the comments also, that okay, these are the data set that you can play with. But I think MNIST is the, basic one, and you can actually visualize it very properly. It makes sense to the brain also, that what handwritten images of the digits also works. So this is a very good and very, relatable data set, and, relatable topic that you can work on. And this is very interesting. I think this is very interesting, and you can use these features for, generating synthetic samples also. So feature engineering, feature, yeah, you can, create new features. You can create the, size, increase the size of the sample size of your data set also on the basis of this. So I think this is a very good technique, but make sure that you are running, it will be little bit compute extensive, but it will be good for your training as well. So maybe you can, just understand and play with the data set, play with the model, and hopefully you can come up with a very good idea that you can implement using this. So this is it from my side, and I really hope that you like this video. And please don't forget to subscribe the channel, so that you guys are aware of, like, whenever I'm posting the videos. I make sure that I post the video daily with a new machine learning topic and project, with the code, with the concept, and how it is able to, learn how the algorithms are able to actually do the stuff. So if you have any questions, if you want me to work on a different project that you have, if you want me to actually explain a particular topic from any of my videos, you can just put it on the comment. Maybe I will make sure that I will make a separate video on that, and, try to make it more relatable and understandable, like from my behalf. So this is it from my side. So like, that's it from for today, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow with a new project, new machine learning project. So make sure you like the video. If you have anything, just comment it, and make sure you subscribe it as well. So thank you so much, and have a nice day. Bye bye.